All right, HeroQuest enthusiasts, I'm going to push this question out there. And this is building from yesterday's vlog that I pushed up to my board gaming playlist, where I was going through some titles in my collection, organizing some stuff, and I realized there were a couple of games in my collection where I have a first or second edition, right? I have the original edition of the game. Pathfinder the Adventure card game is the example, Rise of the Rune Lords. And when they released an updated edition, a second edition, I jumped in naturally because I'm like, hey, I love the first edition. I love the game. I want more quests. I want more cards. And on multiple levels, that new release fell flat. Quality of components, gameplay, lack of just adventure paths. And it's almost like, why didn't you just stick with the original? Why didn't you just keep printing it? Why jump to the second? Maybe because you figured everyone bought all the firsts. Now they're going to jump into the second. So there are games out there where moving to a new edition, maybe you were better off sticking with the other edition. And now this leads us into HeroQuest, because the Kickstarter / Habro Pulse Starter, whatever we want to call it, has ended. Of course, there's no communication, but I don't expect that, because it was really... It wasn't like a Kickstarter model, creator model. It was essentially a pre-order system, and they use their site for other pre-order systems. Maybe we'll get an update like October, November, right before it ships. But it got me thinking and wondering, based on the release of the HeroQuest card game, and I pushed that up to my channel under the board gaming playlist, where I was interested, like, hey, a nice little quick play dungeon crawler to not only fill the time, but I enjoy the HeroQuest IP for what it does. The game itself looked interesting. The game itself looked very, very interesting. It's what you expect, a non-fancy quick play dungeon crawler. The type of thing back in the day when I was at university, something like that I would have pulled out in between classes when we're like hanging out and got 30 minutes to kill in the commuter lounge. Like, let's just play it. But the component quality, the card quality, the dice, honestly, it looked like a prototype. You know, you see these games on Kickstarter where it's a prototype and the card quality is awful and the custom dice have little stickers. That was the release of the game from everything I see. That is the release of the game. The dice have stickers. The cards are so flimsy that the tokens are just like awful. And for the price, I think it was like $20, $25. You say, well, what do you really expect? It's like a mass market type game. Well, a pack of Uno cards looks better. So now this has me really wondering, will there be a level of disappointment based on the quality of HeroQuest? What is that going to look like? Now, the miniatures, they're all renders. We haven't seen any type of miniatures. I expect at this point, given the tech, the tools, the technology, the miniatures will be close enough to the renders. Yes, they won't be as detailed and as crisp, simply because, you know, once you get involved in molds and that production, in order to be able to make those molds at a certain level and mass produce it, they'll be a little softer. I'm okay with that because it's not a Games Workshop type miniature. It's a functional board gaming miniatures, and we're going to have them in the multiple colors to represent the different groups. I'll probably paint my setup at some point, but I'm okay if the level of detail that I'm expecting. We could be surprised both ways. The detail could go up, although I really don't believe that. The detail could go down a little bit more than it should, and if that happens, okay, it's a light dungeon crawler. But if we look at the old edition, the board is thick. The board is quality on that. I hope, since it's a board-based game, it's not tile-based, it's not hexes that you put together which have small components, it's got a lot of surface mass. I'm hoping that it's a regular type board game. And again, I mean, they could pump out Monopoly, they can pump out these other things with quality components. I'm hoping they do that with HeroQuest. I'm hoping that the cards will be at least of a somewhat decent quality. Now, I'm going to sleeve all my cards because I'm kind of that type of player, but I sleeve my cards to protect the integrity and to have longevity. I don't like games where I have to sleeve the cards because they're just going to disintegrate as I touch them, and they're going to literally separate in half if I don't. I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm hoping the dice will be engraved. Pushing this over in the direction of it's not going to have the quality of the first edition, because I'm not saying it was like, in the 90s old-timey where someone's on like a manually operated press, pushing down stuff. But the level of quality was higher simply because the components had to be sturdier. I mean, look at the character cards in the first edition. They're like chunks of cardboard, and the miniatures are just massive chunks of plastic, and it's got heft, and the dice are well done and engraved. Can that be replicated, or are they just going to source this out absolutely cheapest minimal, where the quality impacts the game? It impacts that narrative where you're just playing on cheapness. Difference between a card game, yeah, I'd love high quality, but difference between a card game and a dungeon crawler, especially when the trend is going in the direction right now. And when I'm talking about like boutique, Kickstarter, miniature dungeon crawler games that are out there, but even mass-produced stuff, like if we look at Descent, I was going to say second edition, Descent third edition, that's getting ready to drop. Chunky cardboard, good components. Artwork aside, maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. That's subjective. I don't really like to get into artwork on my vlogs because that depends on the narrative and the type of artwork that you're looking for. But we look at the miniature quality, and now the miniature quality, they're also including bigger miniatures. I mean, the direction that the board gaming community is going is higher quality, better miniatures at a base price, even if that base price is now like $150. But what is HeroQuest going to be? I'm just hoping that it sticks with the trends, as opposed to we got the cash, and we crunch the numbers, we've got the secret sauce, and we can profit $1.5 million if we produce it this way. But if we produce it this way, we can profit over $2 million, just by sliding that quality bar down. I hope it doesn't go in that direction, because I'm hoping ultimately, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys, I'm happy for a reprint. I'm happy that a new generation will be able to explore HeroQuest. I'm happy that I'll be able to play it from that level. I can bring this copy to play and jump into it. But I'm hoping that HeroQuest, for the simplicity of the system and how it works and the versatility, bolting over all the stuff that's out there for the community, I'm hoping this will be a jumping off point for regular releases. I'm hoping that this HeroQuest game system gets additional packs, gets additional releases, that it will be regularly in print alongside their other mass market board game titles. I would love to walk into a toy store. I would love to walk into Barnes & Nobles or some sort of bookstore and see HeroQuest on that shelf. I think it's a great game to go in. So I'm hoping that that's the direction they go in, and it's not going to be super, super crippled by quality.